So we got American Fiction released last year. It was part of the awards show, being nominated for a number of the awards. It's directed by Cord Jefferson, who's also responsible for the screenplay, and the novels by Percival Everett. Jeffrey Wright is the lead character. He's Felonious Monk Ellison. Tracy Ellis Ross plays Lisa Ellison. John Ortiz is Arthur. Keith David, I noticed him, he's Willy the Wonka. And what's it about? Well, it's basically about a middle-aged black humanities professor in LA who's not very popular with either students or his colleagues, and he has money worries. He's got an elderly mother and needing residential care for dementia, and he's finally triggered by the best-selling triumph of a new novel by black author Sintara Golden, with Lives in the Ghetto, and that provokes him into writing his own novel, and he actually writes one that has a modicum of success. The film opens up in a lecture theatre where Monk's had given a lecture to his students, and on the board he's written the word nigger, and this provokes a comment from one of the students who objects to it being there. Of course, Monk is black and the student's white, so he basically says that as he's teaching about the southern states of America and the impact on literature and life, that it's deeply relevant, but the girl says that she finds it very objectionable, and eventually she walks out, and we then follow him. He's being lectured by his seniors about his controversial writing of the word, and it's all a bit sort of, white people not pretending but wanting to be seen to be really conscious of the negative connotation of using this word, and they're talking to a black professor, which is quite ironic. The movie walks us through Monk's relocation to Boston, where there's a writers' fair. There he gets to meet this woman who's selling her African American novel, and it's selling like hotcakes. There's a period when he's with his sister, who's now divorced, and they do an analysis or try to analyse the fact that her mother is starting to get dementia, and how they're going to fund her placement in a residential facility. And there's some sort of intellectual volleyball, basketball between the two of them. It's okay, nothing particularly special. Monk's sister Lisa, she has a cardiac arrest in the restaurant and passes, and we get quite an emotional scene where her ashes are cast into the river, with the family Monk reading her last wishes, and then I think her ex-husband, who's gay, and Monk have a chat about the problems of being gay, but there's an element of it which gets a little bit Americanized. It's a sort of cliquey. If you're not familiar with the sort of American, not language, but the American knowledge of in-house knowledge, and you're from outside the United States, then you might miss the subtle joke. And it doesn't happen very often, but it does irritate me, because there are more people viewing these movies than those with a nationality called American. This film is terribly slow. It's sort of almost plotless, really. He's now decided that he's going to write his book, and he's surrounded by middle-aged African-American males who seem to have lost their path in life. But it really... and he spent some time at the beach house that was referenced earlier, and meets a neighbour who's also divorced and trying to nurture her son through the separation anxiety. But it's all pretty MOR. As Monk starts to lay down the draft of his book, the characters that he's put into paper appear in front of him as sort of imaginary figures, and they have the delightful name of Willy the Wonka, which was played by Keith David. However it works, really. So Philonsis' book takes off. He gets an offer. His relationship with Coraline is progressing neatly. He's just got the issue of his mother, and then we get a sort of crisis at the beach. His mother is being cared for by a neighbour who gets distracted by a man briefly, and next minute mother's gone missing. Flashlights at the ready as they try to search her in the dark. Film continues to move at a very slow pace. Monk's now on this sort of judges group on new fiction. He's become a sort of awards judge. He seems to adapt to it nicely. He's got now this huge amount of cash following the new book deal. We get more scenes involving the mother in the residential home for her Alzheimer. She is becoming more and more out of it. Can't even recognise paintings from her house now as being good or not good. Monk gets invited by the neighbour, who's now going to get married to the police guy. She gets invited. She invites Monk to walk her down the aisle. This woman is well-rounded, to put it bluntly, and it's still waiting for a spark, this movie. The most striking parts of this film that I'm connected to be honest, are the scenes involving the mother as she slides further into dementia. The scenes that reflect this sort of trying to refocus his career and pitch it so that there's a balance between what he wants and what the publishers want, I find a little bit dry. And also there's this side plot involving his gay brother, which purports to being somewhat comedic, but it doesn't work for me. The relationship with Coraline could be explored a bit further as well, but overall I find it quite a muddled plot, trying to touch too many bases really. And Wright is clearly the central character, but he is muddled as well. The last sequence of the movie, we basically go through a number of alternative future acts really with regard to this book Fuck, which is of course Monk's alias or AKA, and then he, riding on the success of his last work and now this work, he is asked to put forward a possible ending for a movie adaptation, and we get into all this sort of real and fantasized possible scenes to end the movie. It all gets rather confusing and very self-indulgent really, I found, and I struggle with this movie.